Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Stevie Mcintosh just days after his massive victory against Decky McAleenan at Cage Warriors 125. Stevie, must sound good to hear that, does it?
Yeah, man, been a long time. I've had to wait for my Cage Warriors win. I had my 6 months ago in December, which I took on short notice, and yeah, I've just been, I knew I had a 5 contract, so I knew obviously I had another fight after Decky, after Medi. So I've just been really training hard after that, man. I was obviously a bit of sickener getting beat from Medi. It was a hard one to take. I was pretty confident going in, and that's a fight game for you, man. But I've bounced back now and back in the win column, and yeah, just you got to keep kicking on from here.
How much does it mean to you then, I guess, to get that first win? That first fight, of course, of the contract didn't go the way you were hoping to at all. So what did it mean to get in there and eventually get your hand raised with them yellow gloves on?
Yeah, man, it was cool. Do you know, I never really overthought the win. Like actually putting pressure on myself to win. I said to myself, like I'm going to go and just I'm going to perform, and if I perform, the win will come. So like I don't really concentrate too much on making sure I win. Although I'm always wanting to win. Like who doesn't want to go into a fight and win? But I always say to myself, if I perform, I feel like I'll beat all these guys. Like I might be wrong, but like I feel if I perform at the best of my ability, I'm in my good shout at beating everybody in Cage Warriors. So I just thought stylistically, as soon as I got the name for Decky, I was confident I could beat him. It was just all about performing on the night, which thankfully I done.
If we look at that first round, it was very, very much, I guess, a feeling out round between the two of you. There wasn't a huge amount of action. It was very technical. It was very much reading each other. When you went back to the corner at the end of that first round, what was the sort of conversation between you and James Doolan like? Was it happy with that first round? Was it exactly what you expected from the first round? Where were things going in that second?
To be honest, there wasn't like a set game plan for Decky as such. There were certain things that I felt that I would land on him. Decky's a really good striker. Like he's very technical with striking. He switches up. He's quite unorthodox. He's long as well, which is the same as me. But I just feel like with mine and his game is pretty similar. The only thing is probably he switches more than me. I don't really switch much, but I felt like when he was in orthodox, I was going to calf kick him. And I don't know if you see it, but if you watch the fight back, right off the back, I calf kick him, and then he switches to southpaw. I don't know if that was hurt bad right away, but right away, southpaw, so I was like, right. And then the body kick was for when he went to southpaw, I was going to body kick him. And if you notice again, right off the bat, I body kicked him, but counter with a punch, but I actually slipped. It looked like he kind of dropped me for a second, but it didn't. I was just slipped. But that was landing. But it just ended up that because I think Decky's used to being the longer opponent, he was struggling with the range. I think I was slightly longer, and it was ended up making him swing a bit more than he probably looked, because he's quite a technical puncher. If you watch him in other fights, he's very technical with shots. He doesn't really swing with shots, but because I'm that little bit longer than him, he was having to kind of swing and force it forward, which I don't think is really his game. So it was kind of making us go into a clinch more than anything. More than me actually trying to initiate a clinch, and it just happened that we were up against the fence. I felt like I was a little bit stronger, and I was just managing to keep the pressure his back against the fence. It was tough to take down. He was clued up with all his stuff, so it wasn't an easy opponent to take down. But yeah, I think after the first, the first round was close, but I felt like I edged it. I might be wrong, but James was quite adamant that I won the first round. I think just the last 30 seconds just nicked it for me. I got a takedown right at the end of the first round, and then I landed quite a lot of ground and pound, which was actually quite good. Some quite good shots. So I think that just nicked the first round for me, and I was confident going into the second that I was a little bit more dominant before I eventually got the finish.
Of course, you mentioned that you did get the finish in the second round. Can you sort of walk us through that fight ending sequence? You seem to put the choke on, then realise that you need to make an adjustment, so quickly got that on, and then managed to get that tap.
Yeah, so when I got to the Decky went for a spinning elbow on me against the fence, I managed to just duck and get a clinch position and try and take his back for there. He done a good job of getting back to his feet, and then he had a whizzer. But what I done was, because I done it in the first round, I went to lift him and take him back the way he thought he was going to go. So I faked to duck underneath to take the back. So I got to the back position, I had my near side hook in, which is the most important one, and I managed to get the second hook in. I went for the choke, but I kind of guess I sometimes go for the neck before I go to like a harness position. So I took the neck, just chancing my luck, kind of where I didn't really think I was going to get it, but I just put enough pressure on for him to think I was really wanting it. But really, what I do is I switch it up, and then I managed to get the other arm through. And because I'm don't know if you've seen any of my other fights, but I'm pretty good in the back. If you speak to anybody I train with, they'll probably tell you that. But yeah, I just kind of switched up, and I knew right away when it was under the chin, that was it. And I had the hand strong behind the back, so there wasn't even any really room for him to appeal it or anything like that. So I was obviously over the moon after like getting that win, but that was kind of the sequence to get the fight finished.
I mean, Decky was coming into this on some really good form, and a win over him now, where do you see that putting you in that division? Of course, we had Joe McColgan against Ali Sidari for the belt there as well the night previous. But with the likes of Paul Redmond now signed the division, George Hardwick with a big statement performance against Dean Truman, where do you now see yourself in that division? And ultimately, I guess, moving forward, what would you like that next fight to be?
I wouldn't say I'm going to get a title fight next or anything like that. Or I would maybe say I'm 1 or 2 fights away from even getting that. I'm just kind of Decky was that was the fight I was really like when we got offered him, and I said yes right away. Stylistically, I really like the fight, but I think it puts me right up in the kind of top kind of guys again, which was what I wanted. I wanted to get a finish because I wanted them to like all my fights are finishes. That's what I'm all about. I'm not there to kind of lay and prey on people and try to scrape a decision win. I'm trying to finish people. But there's a lot of talent there in the lightweight division. I don't even know who I'll get next or whatever. But I'm not really fussed, to be honest. I think I actually thought the lad who Decky drew with would be a good match. I think we've got both similar records. Kieran Lister. Yeah, I think that would be a good scrap. He's a really good fighter. Good all rounder. He's not really got any weaknesses. But like, honestly, man, in Cage Warriors, it's sink or swim. It's all the top guys in Europe, and that's what it's all about. Like, you just want to test your skills. But I just think that would be a good match. I just think we've got similar records. I think he's had a win in Cage Warriors, and he's drew or whatever, and maybe lost to only Joe McColgan. So he's only lost to legit folk, and he's beat some good guys. I think we actually both fought the same guy Robert Nystrom, this lad. So I think that would be an interesting fight. I think it'd be a good fight for the fans as well. So I don't know if that's maybe something to be interested in or what, but I'm not into calling people out. I just think that's a kind of a good opponent. I think just similarities in record and stuff. I think, but I'm not honestly not looked at the division too deeply. I just take whoever they offer me. At the end of the day, whoever Cage Warriors offer, I'm just going to have to take. It's no like you can be really fussy with it.
I'm wondering as well, obviously, I know it was the night before your fight. I'm not sure whether you would have watched it or not, but did you catch the Joe McColgan Ali Sidari fight? And so what were your thoughts on that bout?
Yeah, I seen that fight. Joe McColgan looked great, man. He's a good fighter. Like, he's legit really good. I've always said he's very good, very high level fighter. And you look at his record, although his record's not like massive, he's beat some good guys like from the get go. Like, I think he beat Peter Queally at like 2-0. Like, do you know, the guy is tough as they come, and he's been about it for a long time. He's I really fancied him to beat Sidari, to be honest. Like, I feel like if I fought Sidari, I think I beat him as well. I think it's a kind of mine and Joe's body types are probably pretty similar. I think that's a style he maybe struggles with a little bit. A good striker, Sidari, who again is a really good fighter. Is just I'm confident at my abilities, and I feel very in the lightweight division.
If we go back to something that you mentioned before there as well, you'd said about you going in there, it is a shark tank in that lightweight division at the minute of Cage Warriors. It's the best of the best in Europe. How nice has that been for you to be able to sort of go in there now, get this win over Decky, and sort of, I guess, solidify the thoughts you already had of just how good you were in that you could compete against the best in Europe?
Yeah, that's like I said before, man. I never really actually thought about the win too much. Like usually I'm like, I need to win, like, and it's the first time in my career, like, and coming off a loss, and you're in Cage Warriors. It's tough because easy fights, like, it's not like you're like, I lost, right? I'll get some fucking bum. Like you're getting tough guys, but I just didn't put any pressure on myself at all. I just felt like, again, like I said before, if I performed, I would get the win. But it takes a bit of the pressure off. Like, I think if I was going into 2 losses at my next one, it's like, fuck. To be honest, I don't know what I would like. I hadn't even thought about losing. Like, I literally gave up everything for this fight. Camp, like, I could not have put any more in. I didn't want to make excuses with the Medi fight, but I took that on, even though it wasn't too short notice. It was like 5 weeks for a guy like Medi. 5 weeks is not long, because you've got to think that gives me like 4 weeks training, and the rest I'm cutting weight. Like, it's not ideal for like such a high level opponent. But it was an opportunity that I needed to take, and I feel like I could beat Medi on another day. Do you know what I mean? As well, like I felt like the game plan that I had for that fight. I don't like game plans, and I think I had like a set game plan for that fight, and I tried to stick to it, and it really didn't work. I thought we were going to be at range when in the fight with Medi. Just watching all his previous fights, he kind of hangs off guys, and for the get go, he just pressured me, which threw me off more than anything. Which I would have readjusted if I got to the second round, but he managed to get me out there with like 10 seconds to go in the end of the first, so it was a bit of a sickener. But no, he's a top. I speak to him quite a lot. Medi is a real nice guy, and he was meant to fight for the belt, so I wish him all the best. I think that would be a good fight to make. I know that Redmond pulled out against him, so I think the McColgan Medi fight might be the title fight they make next. I think that makes quite good sense, as in they drew before and it was an absolute war, so it'd be a cool one to run back. I think I would keep my eye on that one.
I mean, it wasn't only you that had a very successful trilogy. Higher Level went 4-0. What was that like? You're the last man going in there to fight. the lads are 3-0 going into this. Is it like more of a help, or is it a hindrance, or what was it like going in there knowing that your 3 teammates have won? I imagine you must have been on such a high, but there must have also been that shite, I'm the only one left now.
It was a weird one, man, to be honest, like, because I've actually been in that situation so many times, just because I always thought I could go on top, like previously to being signed to Cage Warriors, and we always had like a team of guys on, and because we're a good gym in like Scotland, and it was all local fights, we tend to do well like for the amateurs, and I would maybe be the only pro for the gym on, or maybe one of 3 pros on, or whatever, and I was always usually main event at Cage on top, and there used to be like 7-8 of us all fighting, and I'd be the last one. I'm like, fucking hell, everybody's won, man. It's on me. So I'm kind of used to it in a way, and I kind of thrive off it. They spread it right out. So Keir, right off the bat, obviously got a big win on the Thursday. I was buzzing for, because not a lot of folk know about Keir. I think a lot of folk probably wrote him off in that fight. Keir pulled out the bag, man, in a spectacular way. And then Luke Shanks won on the Friday, and Luke's I don't know if he's told people this yet, but Luke was actually thrown up in the back, like probably like 10 minutes before he went out. They were almost like he was close to like maybe having to pull, like, but he just wouldn't do it. My coach was like really worried. It was because my brother came down with me to corner, and he ended up having like a sickness, so he never left the room till like the Friday, and Luke was sharing with him. So he's obviously caught it like last minute. So because on the Thursday night I was cutting weight, and I went into the hall, and Luke was fucking pacing back and forward like in a bad, like, he goes, I don't feel right. And then on the Friday when he fought, he felt all right, and then 10 minutes before he started throwing up, and he was like, it's this fucking bug. And he went out, and like you seen the fight, it was a fucking war, and he managed to pull it out of the bag. So it just shows you how tough Luke is, man. He's just got that dig in him. And then Scott Malone obviously won before me on the Friday. And it was a shame for Paul McBain, man, because although Paul's not part of obviously our team, he comes in spars with us and stuff, and he's a good lad. And he was one of the Scottish lads that didn't get the win on the weekend. But Paul will be back, man. He's a real tough guy. But the kid they fought was good, man. Boy Hendons seems a legit man. He's young and hungry, and again, that kid's showing what he's about as well, because he came off a tough loss to Paul Hughes, and then taking a fight like McBain, and McBain's a fucking monster for a featherweight who's beat a lot of good guys. So it shows you that wee kid's mentality, that he's taking fights like that right off the bat as well. So fair play to him. But I was gutted for McBain because he's a great lad, but he'll bounce back.
We've mentioned him a couple of times now. I mean, we've got to talk about him. Going 4-0, of course, the man sort of in charge of all that, James Doolan, your coach. How nice is it to have a coach like James, who is so well respected in the game, and somebody who can adapt a game plan, build a game plan for specific opponents, but not only him, but the team as well at higher level. How nice is it to have that sort of team around you?
It's amazing, man, to be honest. Like, James has really been just probably only been my proper only MMA coach. I'd done MMA for like a couple of years before I went through to James's, so I've probably been through there 7 or 8 years now. He's unreal, but honestly, I would not have stuck at MMA if it wasn't for James. Just because he's basically taught me from the ground up. Like, and you can just see the kind of how good a coach is. With so many guys that have been world champions and guys that have been in the UFC, kind of open up Bellator cage, like it just conveyor belt of these fighters that he's continuously doing it. So it's not like it's shown that his system works, because he's not just doing it once. Like he's doing it over like a crazy period of time. And we're still the top gym in Scotland, and one of the top gyms in the UK or Europe for some amount of time, which shows that his system is all. He always keeps the time. He's always ahead of the game. Like James is, when things start coming in, when folk are going for leg locks and shit, and that's the new theme. James is ahead, kind of like he's ahead with everything. So he's an amazing coach. The main thing that attracted me to James for coaching is he cares for his fighters. Like a lot of MMA coaches don't. It's money. It's all about money with them. James genuinely cares. Like it hurts him if he loses. Like you can tell it hurts him. So just for us to get the 4 wins on that kind of platform was incredible, to be honest. Like it's some achievement just for him as a coach, just to know that he's doing everything right. And long may it continue. I think although there's only been about 5 or 6 MMA gyms out there, we've had out the gym this year. We're like 100% record this year, so it's been a good start to the year.
Finally, mate, before we go, I've got to ask you, because you post about yourself on the weigh-ins, the carpet burn, why we got the weight? How did that come about?
Mate, I had an absolute mare. So James was like, he was obviously away on the Thursday, sorry, I was on a fight. So me and Scott Malone were cutting weight together. So I had nothing to cut, man. The lightest I've ever been. I had like 5 pounds to lose, which is nothing. Like I could do that in one bath, which is actually. So anyway, I've done Scots, put them in the towels and stuff, and I was like, I could just jump in the bath, but I've had it a little bit too hot. Probably stayed in a little bit too long. I just thought, do you know what? Because I had 5 pounds, I just thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna get it off in the one bath. It'll be fucking easy, which it was. So I get out, and I usually sit a wee bit longer because obviously you can be a wee bit lightheaded and shit. So I stood up, fine, walking out. I kind of get to the carpet area in the hall, to start put in the towels to get wrapped up, and I'm like, fuck, I feel a wee bit lightheaded. So I put my hands down and I went on like my knees, like kind of all fours. I was like, I've just looked at the flare and been like, I'm just going to put my head down for a second. I've obviously been lightheaded and just been like, I've just scraped my face, mate, right along the fucking carpet. So I didn't think I passed out, but I've just fucking been lightheaded and just went like right along. And at the time I was like, fucking hell, man, I think I've actually carpet burned my face. And then my face, it's funny, it just looks like it's just red, because obviously you're cutting weight, you're all red anyway, you're sweating. It just looked like a wee red mark, and I was like, it'll be sound. I woke up in the morning, man, I was like, what the fuck? Fucking massive big carpet burn under my eye. Still there, fucking, and then up there. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I think fucking Decky was looking at me at the stair off, like, what the fuck? What's wrong with this cunt? Fucking all these big marks on my face. So I had an absolute nightmare, man. James was like, I told you to wait till I got back and all that, but it's because I had just a little bit to cut. There was barely, like, I didn't have to lose much. But I totally fucked it. Like, but it was funny because in between round one, so when we got to the corner after round one, I noticed James just came in the cell and cut man came in. I think he thought I was cut. I was like, no, mate. He's like, he went, where's the blood coming from? I was like, it's not a cut, mate. It's like I've got a carpet burn on my face. And he was like, oh, for fuck's sake. So he's like putting the wee cotton thing on it and that. Like, I was like, it's not a cut. So, that was the story, basically. I made an ass of myself, basically. Not good.
Well, Stevie, hopefully we'll see you back in there soon, mate. And thank you very much for your time there tonight.
Cheers, mate. All the best.